All right, we are in the Pacific Cup tournament. It is Monday's qualifying round in the rookie division. I'm playing my low-level account. Got my 99 account going on here. So I played these holes earlier with my upper developed account and got a minus 15 and left a bunch of stuff on the table. Like there's literally a shot on every single one of these holes. But on some of these holes, it's going to be a lot harder with an upper developed or with lower developed club. So the par 4 hole number 1, it's tougher. You got to do some overpower to get up there, but if you can get up there, you got to putt. Hole number 2, this par 5, it's a long Albie shot coming in, and it's a lot easier when you got lots of ball guide. Hole number 3, still got a shot. Par 3, we can set that up and get similar results. Hole number 4, we can get similar results on this hole too. Hole number 5, we can get similar results there. This par 5 right here. That's another one. These ones are going to be, this one gives you the best shot just because it's a rough bump. 7 and 8, you got shots. So there's still a lot of shots even with lower developed clubs, but those shots are, you got to put yourself in the right spot. So, and hole number 1 is not as critical with a lower developed account than when you're in an upper developed account in a higher bracket. Let's see what I got here. I got my Viper upgraded. That's going to add on some to my accuracy. I'm going to hold off for a second. Let's go look at hole number 1 of this tournament. Now, before I do this, one of my teammates asks, I shot the videos earlier and recorded them for my 77 account, and I've got hole number 1 on there, and his response was, it's easier with an extra mile. So, Kevin, yes, it's way easier with an extra mile, 9. So when you're shooting this, if you got an extra mile 9, you want to do about 6 topspin, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on how much raw distance your club hits. So if you bring out a 4 power ball, you could get farther up into the tip, and you could probably get it done without the 6 topspin. So if you had a lower developed club and you have 4 power balls, you might be able to get it done there and not have to do any overpower. But like in this account, I only have an extra mile 6. So I'm not going to, number 1, I don't have the raw power. And number 2, I don't have the top spin. So that forward push on it. So when I land out in here to get to here, I don't have enough top spin to get me over the sand. So the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to get deeper in the hole. So this bounces deeper so that I'm trying to push it over. So this is all about, the wind in this tournament was blowing in this direction. So we could use the wind to push us forward. I was talking to Hammer and Hank earlier today, and this hole came up, and here's the deal on this hole. If you're going to use the wind, we need to do a 10% wind adjustment on this drive. And it is super critical. Otherwise, you'll end up overdriving here or you'll overdrive down here. It's super critical. You got to do this 10%. And I don't normally do, like there's some holes that it's like I just blow off because the reason that I don't normally talk about it with drivers is because I always leave myself 2 rings off of any transitional surface. So I very seldom ever am not 2 rings off. If you watch my videos on a regular basis, I mean, one of the reasons why I'm always in the fairway or in the fairway more often than not is because I never pinch myself up against a surface. But on this particular hole, because we're trying to do this putt-putt golf where you're getting multiple bounces and each one has to be in the right spot, you need to do this 10%. If you're going to use the wind, this is a big variable. So earlier today, it was like a 4.2. So what happens if it's a 4.2 all day today and then in the opening round it's a 2.6? You're not going to get the same result with a 2.6 that you're going to get with a 4.2. And then maybe in the weekend round it's a 5.3. So, I mean, each one of these days you're going to end up with a different result. So if you're going to use the wind, try and find out if there's like only leave in 2.6 or 2.5 of the wind. So if the wind was 5 miles an hour, you'd leave half of it in and then take the rest of it out. But there's a 10%. So if you leave 2.5 in and you take 2.5 out, this is actually 2.75 is what you're going to want to pull. So you have to think, you got to do the math here. But if you're going to take wind, if you're going to use the wind, try not to use all the wind. Try and pick a low number. Like I really don't think the wind's going to go any lower here if you bring a Titan. And you don't really need a Kingmaker. You can do this with a Titan because then you get bigger winds. So you could take out like 2 of the wind, and that way you could cover the spread. So if on the weekend they have a 5 and then the opening round they have a 3, you'd be fine with it. And the deal is that you may take out some wind and then put some overpower in, but that way you're keeping the wind as a constant. I'm keeping 2.6 miles an hour wind in, and then I don't have to put in as much overpower. I can just rub up against the nubs, or hopefully you won't have to do any. The solution to this is a 4-power ball. Okay, that's the solution. That's why they sell 4-power balls. So I mean, if you really want to do this and you want to have a more consistent shot, you got to use a 4-power ball. But I don't have any. Well, I may have some 4-power balls in this account. Let's see if I've been gone so long. Nope. Let's see what kind of balls, my ball collection here. I've got some of these firework balls. They're 4-power balls. If I can get up there without doing any overpower and try and get up into that spot, it's absolutely worth it if you've got lower developed clubs to pull out a bigger ball here. Because this is a par 4 that you're not going to have to do a second shot on if you get in the optimal spot. If you get in the optimal spot, you're going to be taking a putt. So when you talk about, like when do you use some of the balls that you paid for, this is a prime example of why the difference between, if you have upper developed clubs, you can do it with 3-power ball. If you have lower developed clubs and you're trying to enhance your club so you're getting the same effect, you may have to bring out a bigger ball. So I'm going to bring a firework ball and see what that does. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to switch to a Titan. If I'm going to have to do a bunch of overpower and do a bunch of stuff, then I'm going to switch to a Titan and just do it that way. So theoretically, the only thing I'm going to need here is my extra mile. But if I do end up in the sand or the rough, that club hits 1.2. I should write some numbers down here. That's 2.4. So machete is 2.4 per ring at max. I play that club at half its accuracy. I play my rough iron and my sand wedge at half accuracy at max club. So that's 96. So that's 1.1. I'm going to play that at 45. So that'd be a 2.1. 2.1 for the Malibu. Malibu is super accurate when it's up close. Well, all of the rough irons and the sand wedges are super accurate when they're up close. I'm going to keep my Viper right where it is because I don't want to have to learn any number. It's 1.9 per ring right now. Maybe I'll change my tune when I get on some of these holes, but all right, that's what I got. We'll see if we can do the bounce to the bounce to the bounce. You need 5 to 6 topspin, and I just don't have it. I don't have it. But I'll tell you what, there are some clubs that you should be working on when you want to number one. I'm really, the one thing I will say I'm glad about in the max club card trading is people will quit bitching about getting lots of common cards, because I've always been a fan, like, hey, they're common cards, you're going to get lots of them, and now we can do something with them. So I mean, it's even better. When you're working on your rares, obviously, if you don't have an extra mile 9, that's going to be a big push because that is a monster club. All right, so in order to get over to that area, I'm right in here. It is just a little short. There's 2 miles per hour. I'm gonna leave half the wind in, so I'm gonna add on 10%. That's 4.6. So there's 4.6. 4.6. And I'm gonna leave 2 miles per hour in. I'm gonna see if I can get the wind to do the work for me. And I hit a grate to the right, and see if I got the distance right there. Now, grate to the right killed me up at the top. And that's because I left the wind in, but I left the forward moving wind in, but I didn't take the side wind out. And I didn't leave myself enough room there for dang sure. I was trying to think about how I was going to do the wind adjustment and not paying attention to what I was doing as far as making the wind adjustment. Here's the cool thing about being down close, though. you're going to be hitting, if you don't get on, you're going to be hitting with a stand or a rough iron, and those clubs are super accurate. The only thing is you got to hit them perfect. So if you know how to make wind adjustments with those clubs, and when they're up close like this, they're super accurate. Malibu. Max club. So I'm at about 3 per ring. So I'm going to do about a ring and a half. It should be a little bit of an overpull. Hit it great to the left. I did a little overpull there because I was a little hesitant, because if I get that wind adjustment wrong on the rings there, I could end up landing on the green and going for a wild ride. So a 4 ring pull, the way it should have been, was a little over 2 rings, and a ring and a third seemed like a little. So I went about a ring and a half. I was trying to hedge my bet. I was trying to stay so that if the wind adjustment was wrong, I'd still hit the rough, but if the wind adjustment was right, I'd just be a little deeper. I don't have as much confidence in a Malibu as I do a Spitfire. So with a Spitfire, I would have known exactly what to do right there. You got to play your clubs, and when some of these clubs, like the ones at the bottom, the usual suspects for me, I never move off them, because I know how to play those clubs, and I've played them in a bunch of different circumstances. So every now and then I'm like, man, I wish I had a backspin club, or I wish I had something else. But that normally they're exactly what you want when you pull them out of the bag. I always think it's funny when people get to Tour 7, the clubs that they're looking for an Apocalypse, they're looking for a Cataclysm. Those clubs really don't, like the Apocalypse becomes usable around level 2. There's times when you can interchange it. At level 3, it becomes very usable. And level 4, you can go either way with it in the extra mile. But the Nirvana and the Spitfire, as soon as you get them in your bag, you'll start using them. Good game. Good luck in the tourney. All right, that was hole number 1. So epic fail there. That was the great to the right. That's a shot that I needed to set that up so that I gave myself a little bit more room on the drive. You shouldn't fail on the drive like I did right there. So epic failing on the drive, you should always get this first bounce. So in a worst case scenario, you'll typically end up in the sand right here, or you'll end up on this side in the rough. But me not making the first bounce out here was an epic fail. All right, that was hole number 1 of the Pacific Cup and Monday's qualifying round in the rookie division. Thanks for watching.